Welcome back to the listening window, where we bring you immersive stories to help you improve your English listening and speaking skills one sentence at a time. Today's story is called The Second Me. It begins with an ordinary life, an ordinary apartment, an ordinary woman. But what happens when you find proof that you were somewhere you've never been? A psychological twist is waiting. Repeat every sentence after me. And remember, you can download the full script for reading and practice by clicking the link in the description. Now, let's begin. My name is Rachel. I'm a school counselor, 32 years old. I live alone in a quiet apartment on the second floor of a red brick building. I live a simple life. Work, groceries, Netflix, sleep. Nothing dramatic ever happens to me. At least it didn't. Until last Thursday. It started with a receipt. Just a folded piece of paper, crumpled in the pocket of my coat. A coat I hadn't worn in weeks. I pulled it out while waiting for the elevator, thinking it was trash. But the date stopped me. Thursday, 8:17 p.m. That was last Thursday. And the location? Pierce Street Cafe. A place I've never been. I never even heard of it. The receipt showed 2 drinks, a slice of chocolate cake, and one note scribbled on the bottom in my handwriting. See you next week. I laughed, nervously. I must have found someone else's receipt. But then I saw the signature. R.B. My initials. When I got home, I pulled out my phone and searched for the cafe. It existed just 6 blocks from my apartment. I'd never noticed it before. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept going over the facts in my head. Why would I have a receipt from a place I'd never been at a time I remember being home? It didn't make sense. So the next evening, I walked to the cafe. Just to look. It was real. Small, cozy, with strings of yellow lights hanging across the windows. I walked in. The hostess smiled. "Back so soon?" she asked. I froze. "Excuse me?" I said. She tilted her head. "You were just here last week, remember?" I nodded slowly, pretending. "Right. Yes." She led me to a corner table by the window. And as I sat down, I noticed something under the table. A book. Old, worn, with my name written inside the cover, Rachel Blackwood. It was mine, but I'd never seen it before in my life. I flipped through the pages. It was a journal, and every single entry was in my handwriting, but I didn't remember writing any of it. The first entry said, "He's watching again. From the rooftop this time." My chest tightened. Each page described places I'd never been, people I didn't know, events I never lived. But every detail felt familiar, like reading a dream you forgot you had. I closed the journal, hands shaking. Was I losing my mind? Or was someone pretending to be me? I went to the police. They smiled politely, took notes, but I could tell they didn't believe me. "Maybe you forgot," they said. "Maybe it was a dream. Maybe." But things got worse. 2 nights later, my neighbor knocked on my door. "Hey, Rachel," he said. "Sorry to bother you again." Again? I asked. He looked confused. You were just here 10 minutes ago. I hadn't left the apartment all day. I asked him what I said. He frowned. You just asked to borrow a flashlight. Said the power was out in your place. I hadn't spoken to him in weeks. My stomach dropped. Whoever this other me was, she was getting closer. I set up a camera, just a cheap one from the electronics store, pointed it at my front door, plugged in, recording. I didn't expect to find anything. I just wanted proof that I wasn't crazy. The next morning, I watched the footage. From 3:14 a.m. to 3:21 a.m., the motion sensor caught something. A figure, slender, same build as me, unlocking my front door with my key. She walked into my apartment and looked straight at the camera. It was me. Same face, same haircut, even the small scar on my chin. But I have no memory of leaving the bed. She walked up to the camera, smiled, and whispered, "Don't worry. I'm just borrowing the life you're not using." I showed the footage to the police. They thought I was playing a prank. Said it looked like edited footage. Deep fake. A joke. But I knew the truth. There was someone else out there, living pieces of my life. Someone who looked like me, spoke like me, wrote like me. But she wasn't me. She was something else. I tried to track her, watched the cafe for days, asked neighbors to tell me if they ever saw me when I wasn't around. And then, 2 days ago, I received a package. No return address. Inside was a key and a note. If you want to know who I am, come to apartment 3C. Midnight. My apartment building doesn't have a 3C. It ends at 2B. But I checked anyway. And what I found changed everything. The hallway ended where it always did. But the wall felt different. I pushed, and the wall opened like a door. Behind it, a staircase, leading down, not up, down. I followed it, but it didn't show my reflection. It showed her, the other Rachel. She stared at me as if she'd been waiting. "Now," she said, "we decide who stays. Thank you for spending time with me on the listening window. Now it's your turn. What would you do if you discovered someone else was living your life?" Leave an alternative ending in the comments below. Let's get a conversation started. And don't forget, you can download the full script to read and practice at your own pace. Just click the link in the description. More suspense, twists, and spoken English practice are coming your way. Only here on the listening window.